you're always seeking perfection, you're only ever going to let yourself down. World Cup 2019 at Lords, Ashes, Headingley, and we were winning games with this way of playing cricket that was just like the complete opposite to what everyone assumed English cricket was played like.
Stokes has hit it for 6!
Have you ever felt that alcohol has negatively impacted your cricket performance?
The relationship I had back with booze when I was younger, I would just be all or nothing. There's been some times like in nights out where everyone was, I just can't remember what happened in the last 2 hours.
What would you say was your lowest point in cricket?
Joe Root, I was the vice captain for 90% of his captaincy role. No one's got any clue about how he managed to hold that team together and hold himself together. I was carrying it as well because I've been a part of like a tough time in English cricket.
You tore your hamstring.
That was like someone had shot me. I was like down on the floor, I was out.
Did any part of you think that could be career ending? What happens when one of the greatest cricketers of all time decides it's time to hit reset? Not on his game, but on his life. In this exclusive episode, England cricket captain Ben Stokes sits down for his first ever in-person podcast interview. He's a World Cup winner, Ashes hero, and now someone who's rewriting his relationship with alcohol. This is Ben Stokes, like you've never heard him before. Welcome to Untapped. Today we have with us in person England cricketing legend and captain Ben Stokes. Ben, thanks so much for coming in.
No worries, thanks. Don't compliment me too much. You'll get me rosy red cheeks out.
It's a real pleasure to have you in. It's not lost on us that you don't often give interviews, and to have a great like you in here is incredible for us. And obviously we're all big fans of yours and really appreciate the time that you're giving us today.
No worries. Pleasure to be here, mate.
When did you realise that you had kind of immense talent for cricket? And, I know that you were playing at a very high level when you were 19, but was it always your dream to be a cricketer?
Oh, I suppose it stems back to childhood. I come from a very, very sporty family. My dad was a professional rugby league player. And many people know, but I'd spent the first 12 years of my life in New Zealand. When my dad was a professional player, and then he had to retire early actually because of a broken neck, which then led him down the coaching route. My mum was very sporty. She played indoor cricket. So I was just around sport, since I could remember. And rugby and cricket were my two sports growing up. They're two major sports in New Zealand, so it's very hard to avoid those if you're into sport. But I guess it wasn't really until I moved to England where I think I really started to think I could maybe give this a go at making a career out of either or. Rugby and cricket were sort of going really well. I was at the same level at both. And I remember I actually injured myself at school playing rugby when I might have been told by my dad not to play because I'd just been selected in my first underage England team for cricket. And one of my dad's players was actually our PE coach at the time. And I remember when I hurt my knee, he was called Mr. Woodcock. He absolutely shit himself when he realised I'd hurt myself because he knew that I sort of wasn't meant to be playing rugby. So I missed out on that training camp at under 15s. And he basically told me then, now you need to choose what you want to do. You can't keep doing both. And I was just enjoying my cricket way more then. So that's when rugby got knocked on the head and the pursuit to become a professional cricketer started.
When your father broke his neck, where were you?
No, I was a very, very, very small little infant.
Is that why he was looking to protect you from that sport, or he just realised that you had a brighter future in cricket, perhaps?
I guess maybe actually, his career ended early. So, I guess he could have been a reason as to why he said sort of you need to make a decision because he didn't want one to potentially spoil the opportunity of both, if that makes sense, yeah.
Where would you say that your kind of natural grit and determination comes from? Is it just your competitive spirit from within a sporting family, or were there any incidents in your childhood that you think made you a better athlete?
Again, I always look back at when I was very young. I didn't know at the time, but because my dad took me to training pretty much all the time with them, I was around professional athletes all the time. So I guess subconsciously I was just taking in all this like atmosphere of a changing room of professional rugby players. And that's potentially rubbed off on me without me realising, especially at that age. But now sitting here at 33, nearly 34, the way that I look back on that is that it must have had some kind of effect on me of constantly being in that environment from such a young age, of being around and in dressing rooms of professional athletes who, you know, if they do poorly, if they do well, it actually is a big thing. It's not, you know, simply where, you know, like at a club level, let's say, or a non-professional level where, you know, obviously everyone wants to do well, but you finish your game and then, you know, you wait until next week again. Whereas being in a dressing room where what happens in that specific day like really matters to a lot of people, maybe that did have some kind of influence on me growing up.
Would you say that you've always had a winning mentality? And what is it like being at the absolute top of a sport with entire countries and you know, in our case, our whole nation behind you at times, almost expecting you to be able to achieve the high levels that you've displayed in the past? You know, how does it weigh on you as an athlete? You know, it's most people listening to this will be aware of incredible moments in your career where you've literally changed the course of an entire match almost single-handedly. How does that feel at the time?
It's changed a lot over the years, my views towards a lot of things around, you know, playing at the highest level. But one thing that's always been a constant is how hard I work. You know, my work ethic towards, you know, my job. It's just a given that it's not just me or the guys that I play with, you know, it's just professional athletes are just different, you know, it's just like a different mindset, especially towards doing what we're required to do out on the field when it comes to the training. But I love the saying, it's like, if you're always seeking perfection, you're only ever going to let yourself down. Which for me is a great saying because, you know, we always want to go out there and do as well as we possibly can. Understanding we are human, we are up against other people who are very high skilled. And there's so many things that are constantly uncontrollable. And that's where that saying I love, because I find it really, really keeps me level, not only with my personal performances, but also as a captain where I've got to look after, you know, a whole team. Really gives me an understanding and understands everyone else when they can have bad days as well.
You must have had times in your career that that couldn't have gone better. You know, what would you say was the highest point of your professional cricketing career?
I think there's been some amazing moments that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of. Certain moments, you know, particularly as an individual, where I've done some things, but the great thing about being in a team sport is that, you know, you can always have a moment, you know, by yourself, but you know it's not just you. You know, there's like 10 other people there who have allowed you to be in that situation where you've been able to go out there and, you know, you sort of be the centre of stage, if that makes sense. You know, World Cup 2019 at Lords, Ashes, Headingley. But then another one that might probably slip under the radar actually was when we won the T20 World Cup in Australia 2-3 years ago. That one was sort of like felt a little different because of I'd been in a World Cup final before in the T20 format, and it didn't go as well as Australia did. You know, think back to when Carlos hit me out the ground 4 times in the last over. So, yeah, a little bit. But look, cricket, you have more bad days than good, but really enjoy the good days.
How do you deal with those moments that aren't going your way? Like, for whatever reason, I was just taken to golf there. You know, when Rory at the Masters recently missing that 4-foot putt, and I just felt crushed for him, right? And he's got to go into a shoot off against Rose. How do you handle pressure in that way? when you know that millions of people are dialed into that precise moment? How do you keep yourself in the game, and how do you play the way you play under pressure?
Well, I think actually you going into golf there is probably a good way to compare it. If you think like I was the same as you, I was just desperate for Rory to win that. Like, I've never wanted someone to win something so bad. I hope he just goes on that absolute rampage now. Now he's sort of got that.
I think he will.
Major off his back. But if you think about like golf, like individual sports, it's you against you. And I know there are other people who are trying to, get there at the end of the fourth day and get the trophy. But like, for example, when Rory's over his putt, it's him. He's got to get that ball in the hole. Whereas in cricket and team, it's like when I'm at the end of my mat with the ball, or if I've got the bat in my hand, like, it's me against you, mate. Like, that's where I think the sport of cricket and rugby, and where you got team against team, really helps those pressure situations, because you know where you are in the game, but it's like, well, no, I'm against you here. And that's how I like try and envision it. It's like, this battle right now is me against you, and I'm gonna win it. Doesn't always happen that way, but that's where going up against someone else, like, in the moment physically, can actually sort of take you away from those massive pressure moments where the game is on the line. Because you always have the scoreboard up in the corner. Like, I view the scoreboard in cricket as my friend, because I sort of know where I am in the game, especially in those moments where it's getting to the end of it, especially if we're chasing or bowling at the end, whatever it may be. But it's a lot easier to sort of calm those nerves down, because I just look and it's like, it's me against you here.
Great golfers, Rory McIlroy being a good example, with what happened to him at the Open against Brian DeChambeau. Well, he lost that one, but then kind of was faced with a similar situation at the Masters, which he was able to win, thankfully. Great golfers say that they're able to forget a bad shot, and not allow it to affect them in ways that, it might affect somebody like me playing golf. Like a bad shot might lead to a bad day, because you just don't have that experience. Would you say that that is something that you're able to do? If you make an unprecedented error, or an unforced error, or a mistake in a high pressure situation, are you able to just press reset and, see the next ball as a totally new thing?
Yeah, I think cricket's probably one of the easiest sports to do that in, especially in the moment, because you're either, if you play a bad shot and you don't get out, no one remembers the bad shot. You know what I mean? So it's just like, oh, I'm still here, move on to the next one, see what happens. I think, like there's no, in golf, I play golf loads, and like if I'm playing badly and I've like got, say, I'm hitting it left, I'm hitting it right, every shot I'm thinking, please don't go left, please don't go left, please don't go right, please don't go right, because I don't have the control over a golf club or a golf ball like I do with a cricket bat, so it's just a way easier for me to like play a bad shot or make an error in judgment on something. But if I'm not out, that's why am I worried about it?
I suppose as a bowler as well, you only need those, the excellent balls are the ones that make the difference. The rest of them, don't really play a part in the result per se. Like it's, when Roger Federer famously did his Harvard speech, where he said that, over the course of his career, he's won just ever so slightly more than 50% of his points, yet he's considered to be the greatest player of all time. But, he could have easily been under that 50% mark and been, lower down the ranks. So that the margin for error was so slight. And, he was saying that he was also able to put down bad shots and just, forget about it. And to not give up at that level is incredible. I'm sure you've had many moments like that.
Yeah, I think, like, if you give up before something's done, you might as well just retire. Like, not retire, you might as well just declare the game done, and then there you go. Like, as soon as you think you're out, you're like gone. There's no point continuing. Like, and genuinely, I know no one's ever going to just stop, but I'm sure that people are so far behind in game and something that they're just waiting for it to happen.
And does that happen to you? So when you are behind, and the probability of winning that test or that day is so slight, Are you ever just waiting for that, day to be over, or are you always fighting to pull it back?
There's always a point in a game where if you lose convincingly, that there is like, you're 8 down and you need 400 to win. You're like, this is only going one way. But there's other games where, like, say if you're batting last or you need to bowl a team out for a small target, like, no, like, we're gonna win this. Like, even if we're 3 down, 4 down, 5, whatever it is, like, until literally there is no hope. Where in cricket it's very obvious when there is no hope at certain points. You're not like giving up. You're not just like putting your bat down and kicking your stumps over and going, there you go. You're still obviously going out there to do something. Like, even with bowling, like, sometimes teams needed 20 runs to win and you have to go out there and bowl. And they've got 10 wickets. You're like, well, we're going to lose this game. But if you bowl, you still run up and bowl flat out. You're not giving up, even though it's very likely that the other team is going to win.
Do you think confidence in sport can ever be a problem? And
Yeah.
Where is the line between confidence and delusion?
Massive, huge issue. Like, sometimes confidence just gets beaten out of players because of what people say about them. Like, I find it like that's been such a big part of what me and Baz and Rob Key and the coaches have tried to do over the last 2.5 years with the people we've had in the dressing room is like beat the negative thought processes out of them, which is, we feel, a product of, as we said at the start of this, the general, like, I don't know, how people speak about sport in Britain. It's just so negative. Like, we just love picking up on the negative things. But then it's all right because they do say, like, I hope they prove me wrong at the end, like I said. It's just like, let's just focus on all that kind of stuff. And it's just, that was one thing that becoming captain was, I found, like, this is just such like a negative mindset towards this. So we just felt like we had to do such a big job to try and change that all around and just almost tell the lad, do you know how good you are? You all are. Like, you're amazing. Like, you guys are playing for England. You're at the top of your sport. Like, you're not as rubbish as what you may think you are. You're really, really good.
Can you take us into those early conversations about what Bazball meant? More than just the strategy.
Yeah. Well, Bazball, God, it's like I can't even remember when it came up, but it was just something that, I don't know. I'd love to know the journalists who labelled it Bazball to start with, because I generally can't remember. But yeah, that was a name born out of the media. We can't avoid it now, so we just sort of like, okay, that's what it's been called for some reason. But like, there was like thought process to the chaos, is what we call it initially. But there was such a shift that we both felt needed to happen when we took over. We addressed the situation that we had on our hands, and we said, right, well, what do we want to do? And how do we both think we need to give the chance and give the confidence to the lads who we pick to feel confident to go out there and do this? Because there's a lot of times where it's a lot easier for people who are entrusted with, being the leaders and in leadership to tell or explain things to people to go out there and do it. But then what happens a lot is you give people freedom and then it doesn't go well for them. And then you pull them up on something, but then they're going, well, you told us that we were able to do this. So we had this plan, we had this idea of how we wanted to speak, how we wanted to go out there and play. And the whole idea of it was, we need to free everyone up. We need to let all this weight off the shoulders that everyone is carrying, undoubtedly. I was carrying it as well because I've been a part of like a tough time in English cricket. And that was it, really. It was like, we need to give this group like just that confidence to go out there and just be like, look, we are going to fail. Inevitable that we're going to fail at some point. Someone might do really well, someone might do really poorly. But at the end of the day, like when we finish a day, like we want to be known as, this is how we're going to take the game on right now. And how we are going to go and take this game on is giving guys absolute freedom to go out there and really, really express themselves, probably beyond what they ever thought they would be able to do in an England shirt. That's purely because that's what we thought needed to happen. Like, it could have gone completely wrong. it could have gone tits up. Like the start we had was honestly, like I look back and I'm just like, sheesh, like that was really good. Like I think we won 6 of our first 7 games in the summer. Played this like incredible cricket. We had some incredible performances, and we were winning games with this way of playing cricket, and Test cricket especially, that was just like the complete opposite to what everyone assumed English cricket was played like.
Just aggressive.
To start with, yeah. Like we were very careful around how we spoke, the language we used. Like we weren't just saying it for the sake of saying it. Like it was really, really precise language. It's changed over the years. Like we're 3 years down the line now, it's progressed, you know, but back then it was just real simple. It was just like, just go create some chaos, see what happens, you know? Because everyone was like, oh, and like we just wanted people to have a smile on their face when they're playing, you know, they've got 3 lions in their chest, they're playing for England. It's the best time. It's like the best thing that you could ever hope for as a kid when you were trying to make it out as a professional cricketer, was to walk out and represent your country. And now you're here. Just go out and just have the best time of your life, you know, on the field, socially. We're going to do stuff together. We're going to, you know, just create these memories that we might never have again. It might be all taken off us next year. Who knows what's going to happen? But while you're playing under me, while you're playing under Baz, you're going to remember like this for more than the pressures of international cricket. Like, let's just go have some fun and see where it takes us. And yeah, it was just chaos. It was awesome. It was such a good first summer and something that we desperately needed as a team. And now we find ourselves here where we've done pretty well, but we want to kick it on because we know we're a seriously good team. But we want to take ourselves to new heights, which right now we've keep all the things that we know work really, really, really well for us. But progress it on even further. But back then, honestly, Spencer, it was just go and create some chaos, see what happens. That was literally it.
This is the new generation of wearable technology. I want to tell you why it matters so much to me. There was a time in my life where I needed to make some serious changes. But what I've since learned is that so many others have felt exactly the same way. Whether it's about sobriety, fitness, your career, or just finding a better path, that first step is always hard, but staying on the journey is even harder. Tools like Whoop can be incredibly powerful in ensuring that you stick on the right path. The all-new Whoop hardware is now smaller than ever, with 14 days plus of battery life, and comes with a host of powerful new features like Health Span, Heart Screener, and enhanced sleep performance insights. It's more than just a wearable. It gives you the data and guidance to stay accountable and keep moving forwards. From tracking sleep and recovery to helping you understand your body, Whoop gives you real insights that can absolutely make a difference. So if you're at that crossroads or already on your way, Whoop might just be the tool that helps you keep going. Click the link below for your first month free. Do you doubt yourself in the moment ever? So are you always confident in your ability to win?
Do you know what it is? Like when you are behind the game so much, and like you can look at a game of cricket especially and sort of go, right, well, this team is massively in favour of winning this game. But if you flip it around, you actually go, well, if I'm out there, I flip around and I go, well, you're the team under pressure now because you are the team on top here. Everyone's looking at this game going, you're going to win this. But when I'm still actively involved in the game, I try and flip that round and go, well, no, you're under pressure because you've got to win this game, you know? And then same again, if I'm actively involved in a game where we should win in the moment, I can then flip that around and go, well, like this game isn't done yet because funnier things have happened. So I think over the years, being in quite a few of those situations have helped me be able to calculate the game from both sort of directions of it, either being massively behind or being massively in front.
Have you ever bottled it?
I think bottled it is it's like, you know, if it doesn't go well, it's such a good phrase, an easy phrase to say. Oh, I say it as well against PR, you bottled it. But again, when you're up against someone else, it's like skill against skill. Simply saying, 2016, bottled the World Cup. More technically speaking, just my execution on that given moment just was nowhere near good enough. But yeah, give me that time again and I'll try and run up and do the same thing, which was the only thing that let me down that night was the execution of what I wanted to deliver with my skill.
What would you say was your lowest point in cricket?
Probably that, actually. 2016, how old was I? 9 years ago, that. So, 23, 24. You know, that week to 2 weeks after that final was, it was tough, coming back home. But I had 2 ways to go. It was either let it just completely weigh me down and let it hang around on my shoulders, or go away and work harder and let it go and use it as, I don't know, like a stepping stone to move forward. And that's what I decided to do. Didn't let it hang over me or, stay with me. Just worked away and started working harder and just tried to get better and better.
Do you feel generally supported by the British public, or are they can they be quite a fickle bunch? Things don't go your way and don't go the team's way. What is the general response ordinarily, in the days that follow from the great British public?
Yeah, look, I mean, as fans go, we've got awesome fans. We've got the Barmy Army. They are just absolutely epic. Wherever we go in the world, they're there, cheering, supporting us through thick and thin. They are absolutely awesome. Sometimes the frustrating thing, I think, especially towards sport in England, is just how much focus there is on negative stuff. Either before anything's happened, there's always this like, oh, well, that's not going to go well, is it? It's like, it's not happening for like a month, and we're already thinking it's going to be the end of the world. You know what I mean? There's just this constant focus on negative, that I don't know how changes, but 90% of the time we have awesome support. 10% of the time, I think we just sort of, country loves to moan and loves to hate. But people actually say, a great cop-out for it is, but I hope they prove me wrong. So, well, you're just sort of backing you like, you just, what? Yeah, that's a good way to sum it up, I think.
Would you say that you're an emotional person?
Do you know, more so if I feel my team or any of my players are getting bombarded. Say what you want about me, I really couldn't care less. But yeah, just got to, don't know what it is, protective little blanket around the lads. Yeah.
Is that the father figure in you?
Maybe, I guess. Yeah.
Where were you when you received the call to captain England?
There was a lot of and ahhing about that when it came about, because Joe Root, who was the captain before me, was a very, very close friend of mine. I was the vice captain for, 90% of his, captaincy role. Did an unbelievable job. Had to lead the team through COVID, which was honestly, being part of that and seeing what he had to do. No one's got any clue about how he managed to hold that team together and hold himself together, but still go out there and perform. Like, he just did an incredible job that so many people wouldn't see, the behind the scenes kind of stuff. Just incredible. And no wonder why everything just sort of got too much from him, it weighed down on him, and it affected him off the field. I remember when he got the call to let me know that he was stepping down. It was like, the conversation started off, but then as he said it, and then it was just like, you could feel this like sense of relief just come away from him. And I'd only just returned back to playing, so there was this like, will he, won't he, and like, I'd given it a few days, spoke to Claire, and then I just picked the phone up to Rob Key at the time and just said like, boom, I said, look, if you want to give me it, I'm ready. And he was like, all right, okay. And then, so before it actually got officially announced, like, I knew for a week that I was England captain. We were just having to wait to sort of deliver it out in the news and all that kind of stuff. So I obviously rang Rooty to say that I'm taking it up. And yeah, so if anything, I was just like reassuring Rob that if he was thinking about me to do it and he was a bit worried that I wouldn't do it, just let him know. No, I'm ready for it. So if you want to offer it me, I'll take it.
Was that one of the proudest moments of your career?
I mean, obviously, like, this don't want this to sound, captaining England is just honestly, like, I wake up every day and I'm blessed. I'm walking out there doing a job which I have done for such a long time now. When I was a kid, I was playing in the garden or down at the park with my mates. Now it's my job. And now I get to captain England. Like, it's absolutely awesome. But yeah, it was almost like, it was different because like I didn't get the phone call to say like, will you do it? It was almost like, I need to let Keezy know that I will do it if he wants me to do it. So it was like, but normally England captains will go down to Lords and get put in a suit and get announced, in the big long room. And I just said to Key, I said, I ain't doing that. So put me in a tracksuit, I'm doing it at Durham. I'm not travelling down to London to have a photo. Because it's a 3.5 hour journey on the train, whereas Durham cricket is 20 minutes in the car, and I prefer wearing tracksuit and suit. So I was like, we're going to do it, we'll do it my way.
I wasn't sure what to wear, to be honest, interviewing you today. So I wore kind of like something in between, playing it safe.
Yeah. Black on black's easy, isn't it?
I was talking to my dad this morning, who's a massive fan of yours. He says hello, by the way. And he looked, because I was FaceTiming him from the cab on the way here, and he said, are you not going to Lords today? And I said, yeah, I am. And he said, you need a collar. And I was like, I don't think Ben will be wearing a collar.
No.
And he called us a pair of rule breakers.
Yeah.
So that's us.
Yeah, that's us, the riffraff.
Let's talk about your injury. You hurt yourself in December.
Mm-hmm.
You tore your hamstring. Did any part of you think that could be career ending?
No. At the time, so it was the second hamstring tear I'd done in less than a year. And at the time, it felt like a little grade 1 thing. Because I remember the first time I did it was the first hamstring tear. Like, that was like someone had shot me. Like, I was like down on the floor, I was out. Like, proper carry on, like carried off the field. Like, I was like, oh God, this is awful. And that was like a decent tear. And then this one in December, like I felt it, but I walked off the field. I was like, but I knew I'd done something, but I was like, I'll probably be a little grade 1 or something like that. But then when the results came back, it was worse than the first one. And I was like, oh God. And then I was like, God, and I've been told I have to have surgery. And then I remember speaking to the doctor on the phone about it, just saying like, this one's worse, but why does it feel like it's nowhere near as bad pain-wise than the first one? He was like, well, like the first one, you would have torn your hamstring and, you would have like gone through some nerves. So like if you lose 30% of your nerves or whatever it was, it's 30% less pain. And I was like, that's why you're a doctor. Like, it makes complete sense. But yeah, it's like I had to have surgery on this one because it was the second time I'd done it. Surgery allows you to have like a lesser chance of doing it again. And I had a really big block of time to be able to do a proper hamstring rehab program. The first time I did it, I was back playing in 9 weeks, which for the hamstring tear that I had was, pretty remarkable. But we had to do the rehab in a completely different way that, got me back into position to be safe to play. So we had to like miss loads of bits out to get me ready in 9 weeks, which was always going to be a push, but I managed to do it. But this time round was like, we need to do this properly. Like 3.5 months, 4 months of rehab because we got the time. So it was a little bit longer, a little bit more boring, but we've done it properly this time. And, I can say since January, when I have January the 5th was the surgery, I've just done everything that I possibly can to give myself the best chance of not doing it again.
In terms of being a top-tier cricketer, what does the training look like? So can you take me through a kind of routine? How do you stay in the kind of shape that you're in? Is there a lot of mobility, stretching? Is there lots of weightlifting? Do you run? How do you stay in peak physical condition, and how important is it to be in that condition?
Yeah, look, I think like there's so many different professional sports, and all these different professional sports require different training methods, require different modes of movement, whatever it may be. The way that we train will be completely different to rugby, football, tennis, all that kind of stuff, because it's just all different movements. Yes, there is some similarity between them, but it is completely different to when we have to come to execute our skills. Like cricket gets a rep of being, you just stand in the field all day. Like, you don't have to be fit to do that. Like, you give someone who's never played cricket, like the fittest bloke in the world, if you tell him to go stand in the field and bowl 15, 20 overs, he won't be able to move the next day. But we've just accustomed our bodies to be able to do that because of the training that we do, not only with our skill work, but also in the gym. You know, like for me now, massively my gym work is about, you know, all the bits that need to be strong, or certain movements, or certain, you know, areas of my body that has extensive load throughout the day. We need to keep on top of that. So, you know, there's a lot of like hamstring work, a lot of quad work, calf work, like isometric stuff in terms of load, because, you know, I weigh 86 kilograms. Every time I bowl the ball, that's like 8 times my body weight goes through the knee, through my quad, my hamstring. So, you know, you do that 20 overs a day, it's a lot of load.
8 times the load?
Yeah, 8 times your body weight goes through your front leg when you bowl. So,
when you bowl, not when I bowl, I don't.
Well, no, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like anyone, that's what it's like. 8, every time you like land on that front foot, you know, 6 times, 6 balls is an over. So yeah, 8 times every ball.
You're a fast medium bowler, but you bowl at 90 plus miles an hour.
I used to bowl at 90 when I was a bit younger.
So, so that would have been fast bowling.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Because I was doing my research on you, and it was kind of like Ben Stokes, fast medium bowler, and then, you know, in the second paragraph it was like 92 miles an hour. I was like, that's surely just a fast bowler.
So how they do it, like, so there's medium fast and fast medium. Whereas if you're fast medium, that means you're like generally higher up. Whereas I would now say I'm medium fast. So like I'm a medium, but every now and again I'll be able to crank it up to fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to be quite pally with a few lads that would play kind of county cricket, and some played for England, and I played in a charity match once, and I was batting. I think it might have even been, do you know Rory Hamilton Brown? Mm-hmm. That lot?
Yeah.
You know, we played a game, and honestly, one of his pals was a fast bowler. You couldn't even see the ball. Like it literally just blows the stumps out. It's kind of like you're not even aware that, like, it's incredible. Would you call yourself one of the better bowlers in English cricket history?
No, by no stretch of the imagination. But I love being an all-rounder. Like, I get to do both, you know. So if on one day batting might not go well, I know I've got my bowling to then, you know, try and help the team out. Vice versa, bowling might not go well. Oh, well, I've got the batting to try and help the team out here. But going back to what you said before, like, totally. Yeah, on TV, you know, you see like the speedometer come down and, like, you know, guys bowling like 85, 86 mile an hour, but because of the angle, that's actually the angle where the ball doesn't look like it's fast. What people need to do is go and stand side on to a game of watching, like, so we got Mark Wood, Jofra Archer, you know, they bowl at 95 mile an hour. You know, and then you look side on, and then you look at where the slip cord of the keeper is. They're like 30 yards further back from when they let the ball go. Like, it's absolutely rapid. You see a few things on social media, particularly like boxers, you know, like where they're like, someone calls them out and they're like, well, come on then. Yeah. Sometimes there's this thing like, oh, he's like people who are like, oh, you're crap. You're like, come and have a net with us then. Like, come down to wherever we are, you get the pads on, and I'll get Jofra and Woody and I'll get them to bowl at you.
You honestly can't even see it.
It's rapid, mate.
It's astounding.
Yeah, it's rapid.
And you kind of can't quite understand like how it's gone through you as well, because you're stood in front of the wicket.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, you think if anything it would be an LBW, and it's not. It just smashes the wicket out, and it's like,
not only is
stood
the ball,
in front of it.
It's like coming out of someone's hand at 90 mile an hour. It's then also got to hit the wicket, and then it moves off the wicket, you know, and we've got like 0.2 of a second to react to all of that. I mean, by the time the ball gets down to us, it's like dropped down to 86. You know, God, yeah. So yeah, it is tough, but yeah. I love someone who's just like, come get your pads on, get your helmet on. You go stand down there, and I'll get Jofra to bowl as fast as he can at you, and then see who's crap.
We'll see if we can arrange that, by the way. So we'll put we'll put some feelers out. Anyone who thinks that these lads are crap at cricket, you write to the show, right? drop us a message. We've got a WhatsApp number. It's in the show notes, and we'll get you down to some nets.
We take no responsibility for any injuries.
Does that kind of stuff bother you?
Nah.
People's negative comments, and, you know, would you say you've got a bit of a steel trap of a mind, or water off the duck's back, all that stuff?
Yeah. I can see. If you are going to expose yourself to it, you do need to be able to manage your emotions and feeling towards that kind of stuff. So I actually, you know, some people say, I don't read that. I don't read any of it. You know, like, okay, right. Why do you keep talking about it then? But I read it. I see it because I've got to do so much media. You know, before a series, before a game, you know, you go and do press conferences. I actually like to see what's been said and what's going on, because then I sort of feel like I'm prepared for something that could be thrown at me. Because if they're writing about it then I'm probably going to get asked about it. So I like to sort of see what's going on in the world, especially in cricket, around the news and media and the journalism and stuff, just because I feel like it gives me a slight, be prepared for the press conferences that I have to do.
I'd love to talk to you or get your opinion about alcohol culture in cricket. Can you tell me how you feel about that?
Yeah, so I mean, look, you look back to the, 90s, early 2000s, some unbelievable, you got these lads who tell some unbelievable stories, aren't they, around it, and it's one of these things with cricket that's like, you have a hard day in the dirt and then, have a couple of beers with your mates in the dressing room and then you go again. It's one of them, I think it's definitely like settled down a lot over the years, the social side of cricket, because the game's become way more, I don't think way more professional is the right word, but because there's more demand on the body than there was, say, 15, 20, 25 years ago. There's so much more cricket, there's so much more in the schedule that it's almost like impossible for the body to be able to withstand all of that anyway, without, the downsides of what, a couple of beers at the end of the day can do to you for the next day. So it's definitely changed a lot, but, at the end of a tough day, nesting into a nice cold pint, with especially like being a bowler, like if you've bowled 20 overs and you've got the other lad over there who's like bowled 20 overs and you're both getting a rub down and you're stiff and you're like, cheers mate, good day, that, like tough. It's, there's nothing better than having like a nice cold pint. But I think the overall side of cricket has definitely changed, got way better, and there's not as much of it that goes on maybe to the certain extent that it used to.
Did it used to be just full on?
I wouldn't say it was like full on, but I think there was more of a there was more of it done, and to be honest, I just think they were way better at it than us these days. They could like hearing all the talking about these stories like Ian Botham, like back in his day, what he used to be able to do, like, and I think that was just what it was like back then. And as I said, like nowadays, it's just completely different. And the younger generation, there isn't that same mindset towards having a beer or going out or whatever it may be. Like there's just so much more emphasis put on, proper preparation, better recovery. You speak to a 16, 17-year-old now who's trying to make it in professional sport, and you compare that to a 16, 17-year-old maybe 20, 25 years ago. She's like complete polar opposites about what they think is right and what they think is wrong.
This is an advertisement from BetterHelp. As men, we're taught to tough it out, hide stress, push through and never let it show. But realistically, bottling it up doesn't make it disappear. You can't kick problems down the road. You have to be proactive and take action. True strength is knowing when to ask for help, and therapy can be a great resource to gain the clarity and tools to work through life's challenges. I wouldn't be in the mental place that I am today if I didn't do the work with trained professionals, both physically and mentally. Think of your therapist as a spotter in the gym. It's not about weakness. It's about having the right support to lift heavier and lift more frequently. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/untapped. That's betterhelp.com/untapped. There has been a monster shift in alcohol consumption in the younger generation. Statistically, an awful lot less than millennials and boomers and other generations, older generations. 70-80% less over the last couple of years. The data that we receive at CleanCo anyway. I believe that that's primarily driven by a desire to experience things instead of a desire to be social in that way. Social structures and the way people spend their time is changing. People would rather pay for an experience and something that they can remember and something that they can share, importantly, rather than a headache, you know, and a time that we probably enjoyed. Well, I certainly did over the years. It's shifted. I think a lot of that is to do with social media as well. People, you know, live online now. The younger generation in particular live online, put their best foot forward, and being drunk, you know, often isn't a part of your best self. You know, it'd be pretty difficult to argue that being drunk is fun. The journey to getting drunk, perhaps more so. But that's interesting in sport. What you see that as captain of England, you know, young people in academies, where they're just drinking less.
Yeah, like totally listening to you there. Like it's just the difference in like, you know, like society now, especially towards just like everything, like social media. Like I got a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old, and Jesus Christ, any opportunity, they're just like at their phone. I'm like, can you go and do this job for me? And they're like, yeah, walking away, like doing the job, and then like, and I'm just like, oh my God, please just get off your phone. But the change in it is, it's like, it's happening in front of your like eyes. You can see it when you're out and about and stuff like that, can't you? It's mad. But yeah, like I've spent some time, especially recently actually, I was out in Abu Dhabi on a young Lions camp, which is almost like the next England players. So I was out there doing some rehab just to change my environment. And that's sort of, you got like some guys who are sort of on the fringe of the England team, but then you got some other guys who are really young, and they're just whole outlook on what life is so different. Like if I was in Abu Dhabi at their age, I'd be like, right, where are we going? Like we're like, oh, we're gonna go to the water park, like we're gonna do this all day and stuff, and like it's just completely different. But that's the last thing I'll be thinking about if I was like 17, 18 in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, you know. But yeah, it's just different, and there definitely is just this, don't want to do it, do they? I just don't see the point in it.
No, I suppose as parents, it's in some ways quite welcome. You know, I feel like I wasted a lot of my time when I was, you know, between the ages of maybe 16 and 28. You know, drinking to excess very regularly. You know, I try not to regret stuff in life, but it's probably one of my biggest regrets that I didn't develop a slightly more disciplined mindset early on. And, you know, I'm proud, I suppose, of where things are now. And, you know, would love to talk to you. I know that you have recently made some healthier decisions for yourself around alcohol. What spurred that on? Yeah,
like, I mean, God, I've got mirror that. Like when I was younger, you know, like the relationship I had back with booze and I was younger, it was like I just never seen the point of like having a couple. It was like I'm all or nothing. Like I can't have one or two. If I have one, then I'm out. And that's what it was like with me. And like, again, well, you said there, like, do I regret having like these? I'm just like, I don't know. Because like, there's been some times like in nights out where everyone was, I just can't remember what happened in the last 2 hours. I've never really thought like ill of it back then. Whereas now, like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to get into that state. Like, because when I was like, you know, going out and having like a great time and having these like huge nights out, I was with like all my mates and stuff like that. And it was, and you're right, what you said, it's the process to get into there is the fun bit. It's then when you get like two, you're just like, wow, it's just a waste of 2-3 hours. I can't remember what I did. But now I've got to like, I've got a much better like just relationship with it. You know, I can sit there and have a social drink, you know, like I never even, like, it used to drive my wife, Claire, mad that I would just be all or nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we'll go out for a nice dinner and like, she'd like, oh, Ben, you want to have a glass of wine? I'd be like, nah, I'll just have a soft drink.
Yeah.
And like, I never really understood why it was so frustrating to her because like, but all she wants to do is just like share a glass of wine with her husband when we're out for like a nice dinner or whatever it was. But I was like, nah, I'm not having one. What's the point? I was having one alcoholic drink. Whereas now, I get it, I understand it, and I can appreciate like having a nice glass of wine or like a nice pint or or cocktail, whatever it is, and I can just sit there and enjoy it for what it is, not just going, this is going to get me pissed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I used to be like, my relationship like was with alcohol. But now I remember we had a family holiday we had New Year in Cape Town. Every night we'll go out for a lovely dinner and I'll just sit there and we'll both have a glass of wine. We'll go back, we'll have another drink at the bar, both go to bed. And I was like, oh, that's class. Like, why have I only just worked this out now?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, in my particular case, I'm doing, I've always been interested in addiction and, literature on addiction and varying opinions on stuff like that. And I've had a particularly turbulent time with alcohol. I've been told by people, oh, well, you can't ever drink again. You have a problem with drinking. If you drink, then this is going to happen. It's like, I disagree with that. I'm with you in the sense that, if I want to enjoy a delicious glass of white wine with my wife one evening, I feel like I should be able to do that, but it's a control thing. And I like varying opinions on complicated things. I think it's very difficult to just take another person's view for granted when ultimately, we all can experience things however we like. I think that's the point there. It's like, because it's so like, there'll be so many different thought processes or like whatever it is towards so many different things that not anyone's gonna, no one's got the right answer. No one's ever going to be right, especially with this kind of stuff. Like, my view on it now is completely different to what it was 10 years ago. But I'm not going to shove that down everyone else's throat. If someone else thinks completely different to me, I'm not going to be like, oh, that's wrong. You should do this. Like, me, myself now, like, I just feel like I'm just a much better relationship with something than I was 10 years ago. I've just got a much better understanding to it. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to judge someone who thinks completely different towards it than what I do now. Like, I think that's the thing with like alcohol. It's like, I don't think I'll ever be someone who just, completely goes sober. Yeah.
But like, I do, like, same as you, like I said to myself when I did this after my surgery, I'm not going to have a drink until my first day back in the field. So I've not had one since January the 2nd, because I said to myself, I'm not having an alcoholic drink until I get back on the field. So hopefully that is either in 2 weeks' time, and I can really enjoy that like whole beer and be like, oh yeah, this was worked hard for.
And how does it make you feel having not drank for a number of weeks or months?
It's not something where I can walk around with like a proud badge on my chest, like, it's just, my wife says I've got the most addictive personality ever in the world. Where if I set my mind on something, it's it. Like, it will be one thing for 3 weeks and then I'll move on to something else for 3 weeks, and then, you know what I mean? And it was the same back when it was like I was all or nothing. Like,
It's so similar again.
It's just like, yeah.
Are we best friends?
Yeah. So, like when it was like out, it was like out. Like, yeah. Like messages like, where are you? Oh, I don't know. Like, yeah. And yeah, it was just something I said to myself, like, with recovery and all that kind of stuff, like, it just doesn't help it. So I just said, well, I'm not going to have one for a while, so I'll just wait until I've done a full day in the dirt, and then I can really, really enjoy it for what it is. Was
there a particular moment where you just decided, right, I'm just going to put this down for a bit?
Yeah, first hamstring.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things that you factor into, like, when I did it, because it was my first major muscle injury. And I remember when I did it, the shock of doing it, when that was over, like the adrenaline had stopped, and like, because I remember when I did it, like there was just this like rush of like, I don't know, it was weird. But then when everything settled on, I was actually knackered. Like, I was tired because all the adrenaline had just gone from doing it. And I was sat there thinking, like, how has this happened? Like, I've been playing cricket. I've like played 3 test matches. I've played in the 100, which is a completely different format. It's not as long, but it is more like high intensity. There is more like fast motions going on in that game. And I was like, oh shit, I had a bit of a drink like 4 nights ago. I was like, could that have played a part? And I was like, nah, surely not. And I was like, well, it wouldn't have helped. So then I was like, right, okay, I need to start changing what I do with my preparation and stuff. Like, I'm 33 now, but I try and think I'm not. Like, I'm getting older for what I do. So yeah, honestly, it was when I first pulled my hamstring in, I can't remember what month it was last year, But that was the moment there where I was like, because I missed playing test matches, with an injury. Could have had a part to do with it, I don't know, but it certainly wouldn't have not helped it, if that makes sense. So that moment there was really when I was like, right, okay, I need to start maybe thinking about all this kind of stuff a bit differently.
So by the sounds of things, the decision to make healthier choices around alcohol wasn't really anything to do with it affecting your athletic performance. It's more of a kind of philosophical decision really about, yourself and your life. Does that make it easier or harder for you to execute the decision?
I mean, look, I've dived into the social side of it, with friends and obviously say like with, just being able to have like one or a glass of wine or two now and then being fine with that. But I think as well, like there is obviously the professional side of it for me as well. I just never used to worry about, having a couple or a big one because I didn't know what a hangover was till I was like 28, But now, like I understand now especially that, alcohol isn't going to help me perform better. Like it's physically or it's scientifically impossible for that to have a positive effect on you when it comes to what I need to do on the field, like physically. So yeah, like looking at it from that point of view, definitely like there is that side of it as well. And yeah, doesn't help with, recovery. So no, I think there is both sides to it. I think there is the social side of it, there's the day-to-day living side of it, but also the performance side of it when it comes to it as well, that I have had that thought process towards it and like actually thinking about it in more detail, going like, well, it isn't going to help me at all. So I guess maybe there is both sides that, taking that thought process down.
Have you ever felt that alcohol has negatively impacted your cricket performance?
Oh God, yeah. Like I can sit here now and say when I was younger, like made some real, like pretty like daft decisions that didn't help me. But like when I was younger, as you say, like I could do some stupid shit and still go out and do pretty well on the field. But as I say, like, do I look back and regret those things? I'm like, no, I don't. I say like you, like they were all like really good times. I can look back on like fond memories, like social side of having good times with my mates, but I would never do that kind of stuff now because it would just affect me too much. I wouldn't be able to go out and do what I need to do. And so physically, no, not like horrendously, but there has been times definitely like when I was younger where it has obviously, it's not helped me. Who knows, I have done well before where I've maybe gone a little bit too over the top. But now I look back and go, well, in that time I did do it. If I didn't do that, could I have done even better than what I did? So,
Yeah, it's those kind of questions that can eat you up, I suppose, if you allow them to.
Yeah.
I see you wearing a Whoop.
Yep.
They're a partner of the show. Don't know if you knew that. And they we've got a new one for you, by the way, the medical grade one, which launched yesterday, which you can have. And it tells you your kind of actual age, right? So obviously you're 33, I'm 36. My Whoop says that I'm 28, which was why I, of course I love Whoop as a result of that. But it might, would that change your mind on anything? So like, not to be blunt, but how long would you say you have left in your cricket career?
No, I think like I don't have any plans to call it any time soon. Now, 33, you're in the back end of career as a sportsman. But like, as long as I keep turning out on the field and I'm able to do what I'm paid to do and do it to a certain level and still have the desire to wake up every morning, train, work hard, try and get better, then I'll still be given everything I possibly can. I think the day where I wake up and can't be bothered to go do this training program, whatever it is. Like this rehab period for me has been great because there's been so many days where I've not wanted to do that given day because it's been long, it's been tough, long days. But because I still want it so much, I'm able to go. I think when you don't get yourself up and you don't push yourself to the gym, or you don't push yourself to go and do that session, or you go, I'll leave it today, I'll do it tomorrow, that's when things maybe start edging towards, or maybe this is starting to get towards that time of maybe you don't really want it anymore. But I ain't got any interest in stopping. Like, I remember I was at Durham, actually. We had a couple of old guys in the dressing room, and there was one guy called Callum Thorpe, like Aussie fella, great bloke. Still works at the club now in the club shop. But he really struggled with the day after bowling. And I used to be like, I bowled just as many overs as you, and like you can't even move. And he was like, it'll get you one day. And now I feel it. So it's just harder to do everything. Hence why now I feel like I have to work so much harder away from the field, like in the gym and all that kind of stuff, to just give me the best chance of being out there to perform. But I'll keep going as long as I possibly can.
Also, you're setting a great example as England's leader. What qualities do you think make a great leader?
Compassion. I think like respect from everyone. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that everyone who plays in the team under me knows that I wouldn't ask them to do anything that I wouldn't do. Which makes it feels a lot easier to, when I asked, especially like bowlers when they're tired, like when it's tough, when they've bowled a lot of overs, to give me one more spell because they've seen me do it before. So having all that sort of like history, I think does help. But honestly, like, I think the compassion side of it is so important. Like, because I do both, I bat and bowl. Like, I know what it's like to have a bad day with a bat. I know what it's like to have a bad day with a ball. Personally, I know what like life can throw at you and how it can be shit. So I get that. But then on the flip side of it, like, they know that there's an expectation from them in terms of their attitude to what they do out in the field. That it's not necessarily what we see results-wise or performance-wise. It's what you put in that you're going to be judged on. And I think everyone knows that, because if it's not up to the level that I expect or the team expects of them, then there's every chance they're going to get a tap on the shoulder. So, yeah.
One of the reasons that you're sat here today is that you've decided to invest in CleanCo, a brand that I founded in 2019. I remember getting the message from you. I was in the gym, and you contacted me on Instagram via a DM, and I saw your name with the blue tick, and you know, you wanted to have a conversation around the business. And I, as the founder of that business, I went through a stage of trying to find like an authentic person to join the business and help me, spread the word in areas that kind of I don't have reach. And so for it to come in this authentic, kind of incredible way from you, it just felt like a kind of gift from God almost, just because honestly, I couldn't think of a better owner, partner in the business than you. I hope this doesn't make you go red, as you said earlier. But no, honestly, I just think, I think you're a phenomenal leader. You're strong, you're gutsy. You've done things for this country that, so many people appreciate. And there's people really look up to you, young men, women, old, it doesn't matter. You've got this, you command this authority around the way you are and who you are. And for you to be joining our business and being there with us is incredibly meaningful for me as a entrepreneur, founder. It's what it's all about for me. Having people like you recognize the work that our team at CleanCo have done. And, the fact that you were drawn to us and want to be involved is honestly one of the best moments in the business's 5.5 year history. So just want to thank you, really. What, if you don't mind me asking, how, why did you want to be involved?
Well, thanks for that little bit, Spencer. We can soundbite that, thank you. Well, I'll get a bit onto you. Like, honestly, it's looking back to then, like the situation of how this all sort of came was actually really like sums me up. Before I said about this addictive personality, I was in one of the moments where I was going, right, okay, I'm not going to be drinking here, because I was still rehabbing my first hamstring injury. So I was actually like, this is when I was trialing like non-alcoholic stuff. I was trying like, beers. I was trying like spirits, all this kind of stuff. Like, I was at a restaurant with Claire. We went on a 2-day break somewhere. And I was trying all the stuff, and like, honestly, I was chatting to her, and I was saying, I should maybe like look at starting my own thing. Like, and then I was like, no, maybe, I don't know. Like, and then I swear to God, I was just Googling at the dinner table, which is shocking, non-alcoholic like spirits. And then like this stuff was like coming, I was clicking, and then like went on to like Clean Co, because it was one of the top ones. And then like, obviously you go onto the website and link and stuff like that, and like, it's like, boom, it's like, well, that's a nice page, isn't it? And I'll be honest with you, I genuinely had no idea the affiliation with yourself and Clean Co to start off with. So I was on it, and then like, I think in the message I said to you, or it might have been on the call that we had, like, there was this one little bit, I think, where you sort of said like a little synopsis bit about alcohol, and I read it, and I was like, whoa, that's like really resonates with me, because that's sort of where I am at the moment with this, with my like relationship with alcohol. And I was like, Claire, it's Spencer Matthews' brand. And she's is it? Like, really pissed off. I'm on the phone with it, dinner. But again, this is me like going, this is like really cool. Like, and then I went on to looked more into it, went on the page and like, looking at all the different spirits and stuff like that. And I was like, this is sick. So I then went onto your Instagram page, and I was like, and generally you can get a vibe off someone's page if they're going to respond to you or not, because I think you're following like one person maybe. Yeah. Might be wrong. But I was like, right, my wife, he doesn't do it.
She held a gun to my head.
Yeah, I was like, right, okay, he doesn't run his page here. Like, but I said, do you reckon I should send him a message, Claire? And she was like, yeah, just send a message. So I typed this message out, did what I did. And I think I can't remember if it was like on the same day you replied to me, or it might have been the morning after.
No. I replied straight away, I think, because the person I was with was like, I read the message, and I was like, oh my God, Ben Stokes wants to talk about Clean Co. Yeah. And then I was just like, I started typing messages. He was like, you can't reply now. Like, give it a day. I was like, don't be stupid. Like, I was like, he might disappear. Yeah. And I was like, no. So I was like, no, I think it's poor form not to reply. We were on a call that day, I think.
Yeah.
We spoke at 6:30 that evening, I think.
And then like, obviously we started those initial things, but that just like how it was like, I was trying all these like cocktails at this restaurant, and then like non-alcoholic beer and like all this kind of thing. I was like, yeah, these are like nice, these. And then we set the call up, and then that was just sort of us like meeting each other for the first time, me diving into a bit more about like this, like, more about the brand and how much this resonated with me, the whole story behind Clean Co, yourself. Like, you bigged me up a lot on this here, but like, I think you've absolutely like nailed that bit. That's what genuinely attracted me. That it must have been like 10 lines paragraph about you and Clean Co, and I was like, boom, right, that's it, that's me in. I'm gonna speak to Spencer about this, because it's just so me right now. And not only that side of it as well, but another bit about it was like the social side of non-alcoholic stuff was also the other like bit that stood out to me about this kind of thing, because I found whenever I would go out into a social environment, I could just feel awkward not having something in your hand. And that's the bit that I really struggled with. Like, even like, I would sometimes, I say if I had like a sugar-free drink or something like that, I'd always like, can you put it in like a nice glass? Like, yeah, even if you just put it in like a tumbler glass, just so it looks like a drink, you want to feel like you're actually part of it. And then when I was like out and about going out for dinner and stuff like that, and I wasn't drinking, like I was having like zero lagers and stuff like that as well. But I could not believe the difference in your mindset towards that social environment when you did have like a, I don't know, non-alcoholic beer in your hand or a non-alcoholic pint or a non-alcoholic cocktail or whatever it may be, it just totally changes. You don't feel awkward. I don't know what it is, whether it's like a placebo or whatever it is, but it's just so much better having something like that than it is having a soft drink or like a bottle of water. And that's obviously a massive part to me as well, because I love being social. I love going out and about and going out for dinner and like going out with my mates and stuff like that. So on any given days where I was like, oh, I don't really want to have a drink today, I could still go out and enjoy that social environment with my friends, but knowing that I'm not having any booze.
I like to call it the gap between kind of desire and compromise. It's taken products to become really good for the compromise to feel less. You know, non-alcoholic beers existed for 25 years, but it used to taste rubbish, so it never caught on. Nobody cared about it because the gap between a beer and the non-alcoholic beer of 25 years ago was so vast that it was a compromise, similar to kind of if you felt like having a cheeseburger, but you're trying to eat less red meat for whatever reason. You know, before you had a nut roast, which obviously isn't the same. Then you had corn, which is also, you know, not great. Then it's a veggie burger, again, big compromise. Then it's Impossible Burger. Oh, quite good. You know, I'd probably get away with having an Impossible Burger if I feel like having a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
And that gap between desire and compromise is slight. Now with Clean Co, if you feel like a gin and tonic and you order a clean gin and tonic, the gap is so slight that the experience feels similar. You know, to your point, if you feel like having a pint of beer and you have a Lucky Saint or a Heineken Zero, you kind of feel like you're having a beer. It's the same thing. Whereas if you're having a Diet Coke or a water, big compromise. So if we can make the compromise feel slight, then, you know, you'll find that lots of people would favor not drinking the alcohol because I think, you know, we live in a world now certainly where people are so health conscious and want to make better decisions around alcohol. I was flying back from the Caribbean recently. The plane was full of people wearing whoops. I probably saw 30 people wearing a whoop on this plane. And, you know, we're right at the back of the plane because 6 of us. It's a big family now. So, you know, we're and literally loads of people wearing whoops, you know, loads of people caring about their recovery, caring about their sleep, you know, tracking data. You just would never have seen that before. And, you know, we know that if you have the odd drink, you know, your recovery is red straight away. Boom, your sleep is off. It's can be quite detrimental to your health, obviously. So we aim to be, as a business, that sophisticated replacement to alcohol, but to exist, to coincide with alcohol and make that gap slight. Yeah. But honestly, mate, just, you know, we're probably coming to the end of our conversation, but it meant the world to me that you care about what we do and want to be involved. And, you know, we're all signed now, I think. Not to put you under any pressure. Don't pull out, but no, we're kind of pretty much there, and you know, I really look forward to working with you.
Yeah, no, same. It's something I'm really looking forward to getting into, like divulging into, learning more about, and like genuinely, like how my mindset towards it has changed so much from where I was. Has like. I'm just really looking forward to actually working with someone and working with a brand that I genuinely like really, really believe in is actually going to like just, don't know, help people health-wise. Like I was never this like health-minded towards anything, but I think that just comes with age, injuries as a sportsman and all that kind of stuff. So
thanks, bro.
Sweet, easy. That was good, that.
Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you want to hear more incredible conversations with extraordinary people like Ben Stokes, then please subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you're listening or watching. Your support is very important to us. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next week right here on Untapped. When you're tired, dehydrated, and struggling to concentrate, making smart decisions gets a little tough. That's why I take Vitals by Heights every single day. Initially, my team recommended it to me to keep me firing on all cylinders because it's not just about keeping my legs moving, it's about keeping my brain switched on and ideally making better life choices. Vitals are packed with 20 essential nutrients, including omega-3s for brain power, B vitamins for energy, and vitamin D3, all formulated by scientists and dietitians. And it just gives me that extra edge, better focus, sharper thinking, sustained energy, faster recovery, and deeper sleep, all in 2 capsules a day. Vitals are the smartest way to fuel your body and mind, so give it a go. Get 20% off your first month subscription at heights.com/untapped or use code UT20 at checkout.